So let's move on to the next panel and see what do we see here. This panel starts representing what? What do you think that it represents? Buildings, aha.
There's a lot of Egyptian stuff there.
Egyptian stuff, okay, so we have some Egyptian, some Sumerian, Babylonian, okay. What do we have over here? What do you think would be this representation? Okay, Asian cultures being developed. So this is the beginning of civilizations, okay? So when humanity starts moving from living as individual families and start gathering together as cities, towns, okay? Does this still affect us today? Okay, you know, and you start seeing also the beginning of trade, all right? So what is the effect of trade? What is trade allow us to do, being able to trade?
Cultures coming together, trading like skills.
Yes, cultures come together, trading skills, and also it enables us to be able to dedicate time to other things. If you have, once you start having people that start specializing in something, like in agriculture, raising food, raising animals, then other people are able to start building buildings, developing writing systems, and so on, okay? And you see here some of the early writing systems that are being developed, okay? Writing is a critical part of human knowledge and being able to transfer knowledge from one generation to the other. Imagine what would be the transferring of knowledge before writing. What humanity did in order to do that.
Word of mouth, right? Telling. You're just telling each other things and it gets passed down.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. You know, so you have to actually remember that and so on. There are still some cultures where that is one of the main ways of transferring knowledge from one generation to the next. But writing is really an amazing thing being developed. What are some of the languages that you will see depicted over here in this panel? Mm-hmm. What are some of those? So this represents the Sumerian cuneiform that is one of the earliest writing systems. And they use clay tablets to do markings in the wet clay, okay, and then they would dry that or put it in a kiln to cook it and preserve it. Wow. You know, kind of a complex process there. All right, what do we see represented over here?
Scrolls and parchment and stuff.
Yes, scrolls and parchment. So the early, you know, the one of the best ways of preserving writing anciently was using vellum. Vellum is skin of animals. So they would use deer skin or some other skin in order to dry it. Of course, they take all the hair out, you know, and then they would scrape it until it was kind of a flexible writing surface, okay? And some of the vellum from ancient times still survives today, you know? So really interesting, okay? So this is the beginning of civilization. I can see also some Greek coming up. So the Greek civilization started very early on. The earliest part is the Mycenaean civilization in the island of Crete, okay? This is the time of the Trojan Wars, all right, the Odyssey and the Iliad, you know, very, very ancient stories.
Maya hieroglyphs, I can see those. I saw them in reality in the Yucatan.
Yeah, So Mayan hieroglyphs are starting to be developed also, and lots of other writing systems. Okay, so writing exploded about 4,000, 6,000 BC, and it is incredible because around that time is when all of a sudden we start seeing writing systems emerging. That is an interesting thing to consider, that many of these advancements didn't happen little by little, but they happen kind of in huge movements, okay, worldwide, all right? I really believe that is whenever the Lord is saying, okay, now we are ready to do this, let's do it, He introduces and reveals this type of knowledge, you know, in several places to emerge, okay, for all of the human family. So really, really interesting how that happens.
The other thing I'd like to note is that we also start seeing the uses of math. We have the triangle here and we have an abacus off in the corner. Whereas once we started writing, we could start doing our math much easier.
Yes, And at the beginning, math was mainly a tool for trade, okay, to be able to account what is happening, you know? Okay, so you have 2 cows, okay, I have 11 of these other things, you know, and we keep track of that. But very soon, mathematicians started discovering the power of math, the importance of math in being able to understand many, many different things, okay? One of the things that it was done in Egypt, okay, early on for the use of mathematics was that in Egypt you had the Nile River, okay? And every year the Nile overflows the banks of the Nile, okay? And it deposits sediments in the valley. And then when the waters recede, okay, now we are ready to plant, all right? But why would mathematics and especially geometry be needed and important at this particular time? Every year they had to do this, okay? Do you remember, Emma, what we talk about this in class? You're trying to remember? They had to redraw all the plots of land. They had to redraw the boundary lines for every family or every person that owned a piece of land every year after the flood. Okay. And so that was one of the early applications of geometry in Egypt. Really, really interesting. Of course, that later on they use it to build, you know, fantastic structures. Okay.